Well, here's how that works. When people expect the Fed to start cutting, then you get a relief rally because everybody says, "Oh, it's easy money. Normality is returning. We can buy stocks, and no, we've got the Fed at our back." But just because the Fed or any central bank implies that it's done tightening and starts talking about easing, that doesn't usually actually fix anything in the real economy. So you get this relief rally, and then people start to realize, oh, the economy is actually getting worse, and that's when the Fed starts cutting. Usually, is when they're worried about what's happening, and so maybe the Fed cuts once or twice, but historically, the stock market loses the most that it loses during its recession-driven bear market when the Fed is already cutting interest rates. So the stock market tanks after the Fed starts cutting because that's a signal that the economy is in bad enough shape to warrant lower interest rates. And that means lower corporate profits, which means lower stock prices. So we haven't had any of that yet. We've just got the relief rally going on right now. But assuming it plays out the way it normally does, the economy will start to slow down. The Fed will start to cut, and then the financial markets will kind of panic because they see the Fed is cutting with reason, that the economy is slowing down and that we're heading for some kind of a crisis. So that's all still to come. And Europe might be a little further along than the US is in that process because Germany was already technically in a recession for the past 6 months. So we've seen a slowing economy in Europe where we haven't seen that yet in the US. But eventually everybody gets synchronized. When the US tanks, the rest of the world isn't immune to it, and everybody drops into a recession. So that could be the story of 2024. Although, like we talked about, the US government is leaning aggressively against that scenario by borrowing insane amounts of money. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. But I kind of tend to think that, a shrinking labor force as there are layoffs and shrinking manufacturing base, those are the kind of things that usually lead to a recession. So I think we're close to being there. And by mid-year, we'll find out if that's a valid thesis or not.